Hello, everybody. We're back again today with 1986 top 10 movies as voted on by Brian, Massey's Main Entertainment, Doc, and myself, the usual crew. This is continuing part of our series. We've been doing the top 10 movies from 1980. We're going all the way through to 1999. Personal lists in tandem with our perfect albums, which we've been doing since 65. We're carrying that to 99, but we're releasing our tandem videos, usually on Mondays around noon Eastern. On Brian's channel, you'll get the music. On my channel, you'll get the movies. Check them both out. Leave comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. We love our regular followers who always put a list and always submit comments and back and forth with dialogue with us. We really appreciate those folks the most. We hope more people jump on and join the club. Really, it's a lot of fun to reminisce, go back over these movies and the music. Good stuff. So we're in the middle of the 80s. Again, the top 10, count them down 10 through 1. We'll also do a worst movie towards the end just to dump on somebody. So here we go. Brian, Doc, great to have you back again with us. And what are your feelings on 86 compared to the earlier 80s movies that we've done so far? Anybody?
I would say, do you want me to say, I jump in and say, I like my list a little better in 86 than I did in 85.
I agree. Yeah.
A lot more movies didn't make the cut for whatever reason. I have some personal favorites that I just didn't put in. And if we get into honorable mentions or something like that, my list could be quite long. So, but this is what I'm taking as the top 10 best movies of 86 to me as a personal level. And that's I think they're pretty solid, man. I'd watch these at any time.
How about you, Brian?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. Probably my top 6 are, ones where I looked really closely at like how good the movie actually was. And then I started to pick a lot of faves on the tail end of my list, I think, which happens to a lot of us.
Yeah.
I did leave off some stuff that I know that other people are going to chime right in on and like jump right on and go, oh, I can't believe. I think we had that happen one time. Somebody said they couldn't believe that you guys didn't have Rich didn't have Back to the Future.
Oh, well.
I can believe it. I mean, it's our list, man.
Yeah.
If you throw your list up there, if you want to, be so bold. And yeah, I mean, I've got some that didn't make my top 10, but that doesn't mean that they're terrible movies or they're not. Maybe there's somebody else's favorite. They just didn't make my top 10.
Yeah. And then, and whoever said that, I respect their right to say it. It's just not a movie that I return to. I enjoyed it for what it was. If I'm watching 10 movies, that's not going to be one of them from that particular year. And, I can't apologize for it because I stick by it. Anyway, today's order is Brian, Doc, and myself. Let's jump to it and see what's on the list. I always enjoy checking your guys' list out before I have to reveal my own. So let's do it.
All right. I think this will be my first, I think, for Woody Allen film. I've got number 10. I've got Hannah and Her Sisters.
Earthquake. Love it.
I mean, I like it a lot. If anything, it would make me really reticent to like to go to Thanksgiving dinner for consecutive years with the same people with all the stuff, that's kind of crazy stuff that's going on. But it's kind of like I like those slice of life type of movies in which we're privy to information that the characters themselves aren't privy to, and so we get to objectively kind of look at their reactions to the things that are happening to them in real time to them, but for us it's flash forwards and things like that. So this was really good. I think they won the best original screenplay. If I'm not mistaken, I think Kane and Weiss both won supporting actor and actress for it, and justifiably so. They both did a fantastic job in the movie. So I definitely wanted to include that. It was just a question about how high that I was willing to go with it. And so yeah, Woody finally made the cut for me, though. I'm kind of happy about that. Number 9 for me, I've got Big Trouble in Little China, kind of a personal fave for me. I know it's kind of a campy, supernatural action movie with your typical jockish guy, in this case, Kurt Russell, battling the forces of evil and trying to save the damsels in distress. I say damsels because there's like 2 girls that are actually like in distress in this particular film. But yeah, just the overall arrogance that Kurt Russell's character shows, even though he's absolutely fucking inept as hell in this movie, which just makes it even more endearing. You're rooting for him, but you're going, man, this guy is screwed if he doesn't have a lot of help. So I enjoy watching that film. I don't care if it's on. I'll watch it all the way through. I think it's a cool movie. Number 8, I've got Stand By Me. The one that's based on the short novella, short story by Stephen King. I believe it's called The Body. In the short story for Stephen King. It's a great coming of age type of movie. That it was really nice to be able to see that Stephen King is fully capable of writing about something that's other than supernatural horror in some way, and it was very nice. Good cast and nice acting, but it's kind of one of those movies where I remember seeing it as a kid, then I watched it again when I was a young adult, and now I'm watching it again, seems like every 10 years, and it just doesn't lose any flavor to me. I love watching the movie. I think it's great. So number 7 is probably, it is the only comedy I have on here, and I've got Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, I had to include this. This is just absolutely one of his best. I'm not a huge fan of all of Rodney Dangerfield movies. Some of the stuff gets a little old, and the jokes are a little stale, or maybe even a little dated. But this movie here is just absolutely great. I mean, just like it says, he's going back to school, strikes up a relationship with one of the professors. Has he even got a cameo from Sam Kinison in there as a history professor, where he just absolutely starts ripping into this young girl on campus. It's just absolutely hilarious as shit. The guy from Rocky, I can't remember the actor's name. He plays his bodyguard. Is it Mo or whatever? He's just like crushes a napkin can like with his
that's right. Yes.
Just absolutely cool. Robert Downey Jr., a very young Robert Downey Jr. is in the film too, so that's kind of cool.
Does he have to do the triple Lutz? Does he have to do the triple Lutz in that movie?
Oh yeah, that's just absurd. That's just totally absurd. That's lovely. Number 6 for me, I've got Highlander. Kind of a cult classic. I mean, it didn't, it was one of those movies that didn't do great at the movie theater or anything, but then it since went on to become this huge cult movie that everybody wanted to see. Queen does an excellent soundtrack to it. Stars, it's got Sean Connery in it, in kind of a smaller role for him to take on as a guy named Ramirez, who trains Christopher Lambert's character, the Highlander, to do battle with a guy called the Kurgan, which was played by
Clancy.
Clancy Brown. Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. He does battle with Mr. Krabs. But it's kind of cool. They're both immortals, and the only way that you can actually defeat them is by severing their head from their body. And each time that you do slay another immortal, you gain some of their power into you. So it's it's kind of a sci-fi, supernatural science fiction type of thing. But I think it's cool. It's kind of stood the test of time for me. Number 5 is the movie that I had to go back and watch because I wanted to make sure that I felt like it belonged in the top 5. I've got Children of the Lesser God. You've got Marley Matlin in it, and William Hurt. He is a professor that goes to a school for the deaf. That's supposed to be, it's actually supposed to be a school that's in Maine, but they actually shot this doc in St. John, New Brunswick, which, it's only about 2 hours from me anyway, and right in the Bay of Fundy, where they shot the film. But he strikes up this relationship with a girl who actually works there as a custodian, and you start to see the bridge that they have to cross between them and her world of silence versus his world, and the common ground that they have to try to come to, so that one person's not totally always being the one who gives and pulling the other one into that world to make their relationship work. I thought that kind of depth in the movie is what kind of made it last for me, and it belongs in the top 5. Beyond what I remember when I was younger, it stands the test of time. I think it's an excellent movie, well acted for sure. Marley was the youngest at the time who won for best supporting actress in it, I believe. 21 years old. So it's great. I suggest anyone who hasn't seen it, please do. Number 4, I've got Aliens. The follow-up to Alien from Ridley Scott. This one It's done by James Cameron. It's basically they take Sigourney Weaver's character and they send her with these elite group of Marines to rescue these colonists who they believe are, haven't responded to any communications, and they believe that maybe they perhaps have been overrun by these aliens, and they think, well, if we send a whole bunch of Marines there, what could possibly go wrong, right? And just a great cast that's in it. I mean, Lance Hendrickson's in it. Sean Bean is in it. Michael Bean is in it.
Yeah.
And Bill Paxton.
Mm.
So and Bill Paxton's character is just absolutely the laugh of the whole thing. I mean, every time you turn around, he's like flipping out, going, "This can't be happening, man. This can't be happening. We're screwed, man." And it's just it's just constant stuff. Good movie though. I think it was in some ways better than the original, but in some ways I like the dark unknown quality of the first just a tad better, and for overall filmmaking. So that brings me to number 3. I've got Color of Money, which I probably think will end up being very high on some people's lists. No names mentioned yet. Yeah, this one here, I've seen it here recently because when we did a video, about a year ago, it has to be more than a year ago now, we've done our other movie videos and stuff. I watched this movie again just to be sure. Great stuff in there. Newman's character is awesome in it. Tom Cruise, maybe one of the more likable characters that I've liked for Tom Cruise. I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan, but he's very likable in this. I like Forrest Whitaker's character in it as well. All the little small superfluous roles all add this nice flavor to the film, and I really enjoyed going back and seeing it. Definitely, I think for pace wise and for a change of pace, also, not to coin a phrase, I think it's one of Scorsese's better films. Whenever this is like definitely his best film, I think, when you break away from any of the gangster related type of things, I feel like this is like the film for him. So number 2, I've got David Lynch's Blue Velvet. I remember watching this in film school, and everybody was just absolutely flipping out about it, that we our professors wanted us to see this and evaluate it so bad. And David Lynch's surreal quality of things, just mind-boggling when you're just like a young college student and you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on in these films. Yeah. Dennis Hopper's character, absolutely. Him huffing the oxygen, don't you fucking look at me, I mean, just incredible, over the top stuff. And I love the film. I mean, I like to watch
Pabst Blue Ribbon, buddy. Pabst Blue Ribbon over the Heineken.
Absolutely. Great cast. Everything's great about it. I love the filmmaking part of it is what we broke down, and it's just absolutely amazing. So worst film, I guess we'll go ahead and cover that first.
Yeah.
This one here, I had a couple again. For a while, Cobra was like number 1, but then they were like, oh, I just can't do it. I had to go with Howard the Duck. Maybe the worst Marvel movie ever made, way before they started making, the stuff that they make nowadays. Still, it is just absolutely terrible stuff. And who really wants to watch a live action duck like have sex scenes? I mean, does anybody really need to see that? I just didn't understand the movie at all. Didn't understand, no premise to it whatsoever. It was just the novelty that they could actually like do this film and have this, this duck, live action duck.
It was Leah Thompson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's terrible. That movie is terrible. I don't know. That's what I've got for my worst film of the year.
It's not a bad pick, buddy.
Number 1 for me is the movie that I learned the hard lesson not to take your date to. I've got Platoon at number 1. I actually took a girl to a date for this movie. Terrible idea. Great movie, terrible idea, but upon reflection, it's definitely like top notch. Everybody in it is top notch. William Dafoe in it, Tom Berenger's character in it. John C. McGinley's actually in it, a smaller role. I think the Dylan's in it as well. One of the Dylan brothers is in it. It's just an all-star cast all the way through. And just the horrific, you just get the sense of all the horrific things that are happening to them feel like they're happening to you. I mean, I felt like my goddamn shoes were wet when they were actually back to back laying in that damn swamp,
Yeah.
and one of them fell asleep on.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh,
I think he froze.
might have froze. And that was right at the platoon there, right at the platoon he was giving us there. I think he's stuck in the swamp.
Go
There he
ahead.
is.
Did I freeze?
Yeah, you're
Yeah, you
you're good.
froze
Go
for a
ahead.
second.
Okay.
Don't worry, you didn't have a goofy look on your face or anything. It was awesome.
Damn,
No, it was like-
it was going for the goof one.
It's like a blowfish.
But Platoon's my number one movie, so
Great
a little
choice.
bit biased in that one, probably, but
Yeah. Yeah, I like your list. I had 6 the same. So 60%, not bad.
wow. I did say 5 or 6, didn't I?
You did. You were close.
Yeah.
So real solid. Couple that personal choices. That's what it's all about. So great job. And your worst, you may or may not hear that from me coming up. So
Oh man. Imagine that we could have had a trifecta on the worst, but I can't change it.
we haven't had one of them yet. I'm waiting. Very good. All right, Doc, jump in there. What do you have for your top 10?
My top 10. So yeah, it's gonna sound personal, it's gonna sound like me, I hope so. I am gonna start off with a comedy myself as well. So, and this is just a personal choice, man. A lot of people don't know it, a lot of people never seen it, I don't know, but I love the movie Club Paradise, man. So that's gonna start my number 10 if you want the truth. So
Wow, Paradise. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
it one time.
Robin
Robin Williams,
Williams.
right?
Robin Williams,
Yeah.
Rick
Who's the girl in
Moranis,
it? Who's the chick?
Twiggy.
Twiggy. Yeah.
That's right. Rick Moranis is in it.
Mhm.
Eugene Levy,
Yeah.
Peter O'Toole. It's a Harold Ramis movie, man. No, I'm not gonna lie, man. I had a whole bunch of movies written down as my number 10. I had like Highlander written down, didn't make my list. I had The Best of Times. I had Little Shop of Horrors. I thought that was pretty good, but Club Paradise, man, I can watch it anytime. I just think it's so stupid funny, and it's stupid 86 comedy funny to me, man. It's in the realm of airplane-ish kind of thinking. So right up my alley, man, especially at that time. And like I said, I could watch it right now, man. I'd be pretty freaking happy. So so don't get mad about the order, okay? Maybe just be happy that they're on, okay?
Okay.
The Color of Money is number 9 for me. So
Woo.
yeah, made my list, Brian.
Made
I
the
gotta
list.
respect the movie, man. I feel bad I left Newman out for a couple of years ago, so maybe or something like that. But Color of Money is still a great movie, man. It's a Scorsese flick, and yeah, Cruise is good. I might like Tom more than you do in the history of his filmmaking, I guess. 9 times out of 10, man, that guy's pretty friggin' entertaining if you ask me. But Color of Money, acting chops and everything else aside, Newman's awesome. Picking up from The Hustler here, it's a great story. And yeah, the side parts, the Forrest Whitaker side part is just even he's in there for a cup of coffee, man, but he steals that scene on Newman there, and just that's hard to do even in any movie. So Color of Money is a great flick, man. Makes my top 10 for 86. That's the way I put it. I got Big Trouble in Little China, man, coming in right after it, right, Brian? So yeah, the campiness, the goofiness of everything of the Carpenter flick, and it starts off campy and goofy and goes turbo for the whole ride, man. It just gets more and more as it goes. There's no other way to say it, Jack Burton is quite the character, man, and if we're not backed by Don, call the president. So, it's great. Campy, great, love it. Sci-fi. Carpenter having a lot of blast here, man. He obviously loves working with Kurt Russell too. Obviously, The Thing and Escape. So that's my number 8. My number 7 is just one that I watched. I watched it in 86 when it came out. I bought it when it came out. I own it on VHS. Had it for a long time. Haven't watched it a lot and over the years, but I watched it maybe around 3 or 4 years ago, got back in. And when we got back into doing this, I went back and revisited it, made my list, man. Sid and Nancy coming in at number 7 for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, a very young Gary Oldman playing Sid Vicious here from the Sex Pistols,
Awesome.
man.
Tremendous.
That sex, drugs, and rock and roll, or sex, drug, and punk rock, whatever you want to call it, man. This is what this movie is. And talk about a spiraling downhill story this is, man. It's an awesome love story in one sense, but man, it's nasty too, man. Chloe Webb, I think, is the girl who was fantastic as Nancy as well.
Yeah.
It's not an easy watch. It's just a great flick, man. Sid and Nancy's it's making my top 10, man. It's number 7 for me, coming in at 86. I got Cronenberg's coming in with The Fly right after it, man.
Nice.
Yeah. What a creepy flick, man. Jeff Goldblum's awesome.
He looks like a fly.
He looks like a fly. If
think
anybody
it's-
can pull off the part,
It's
It's
his best
Goldblum,
role.
so-
I think it's the best thing he ever did. Love him.
I think he's awesome in it. And the remake of the old one in the, I guess in the 50s is when it was made, the original.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, this has Cronenberg written all over it, man. This is the high-end special effects in 86, the whole 9 yards. I mean, let's face it, it's disgustingly gross at certain points and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
the Gina Davis, I think, is holding on for dear life throughout probably half that movie, I bet, man. So
Yeah.
The Fly, an experiment by a scientist gone wrong.
Mhm.
If you don't know the story, that's the Cole's Notes. Go watch something freaky and gory and everything else. Go watch The Fly, man.
Yeah.
It's still a great flick, man. You can watch that at any time as well. Number 5, I got a personal favorite coming in for me. So in my heart, man, I love the movie Manhunter. So that's my number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah. It is very good.
Yeah. I think you like it, Brian. I think you both like it, actually. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
doesn't get a lot of love out in the Main Street movie neighborhood of 1986 or the 80s or anything else, but Brian Cox and William Peterson, and he had just come off of To Live and Die in LA,
Right.
and he does this. Brian Cox is fantastic. This is the original. The way I put it is, it's the original Silence of the Lambs with a twist before it actually goes. So it's like before kind of continuing into Silence of the Lambs. It's the same book. It's Red Dragon.
Yeah.
Go figure, the guy from Halloween, Dino De Laurentiis, is the one that saved this whole franchise and started it. So, but it's a great movie. It's a Michael Mann movie.
Yep.
And he's showing his chops pretty early in this flick, man. What a great, you get the idea what the story is if you've seen Silence of the Lambs. It's quite similar in that sense, but this is the way it was originally told, and it still stands out as, man, listen, I got it really high on my list, man. I love this flick. I got Hoosiers coming in at number 4 right behind it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get those sports movies that are the feel-good sports movies and all that, and you give me Gene Hackman. Oh man, that's a no-brainer for me, man. So, geez, who's the guy that we just had there in Blue Velvet? Hopper. So Dennis
Hopper.
Hopper's in it too, right?
Good in
So,
that.
Yeah.
Very good in that.
a disheveled Dennis Hopper showing up in a movie. Go figure,
Yeah.
right? So,
Oh yeah. It's totally out of bounds for him.
didn't see that coming. But he plays it so well. And Hackman's Hackman, man. And opening scene on kind of thing. It's all him, And what a great character study about, what's going on. I love the story behind it, the basketball story in Indiana here and stuff like that. The underdogs. Yeah, the Rocky of basketball, if you want to call it something, but it's got Gene Hackman in it, man. And it's really, really well done. Number 4, man, for me. Number 3, I got Stand By Me, man.
Yep.
So, yeah, great coming of age movie for this one. Storytelling and everything. Stephen King, like you mentioned, Brian, the short novel, the book, The Body. I think it's 4 stories, and I think that's one of them. I'm not much of a reader, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Great cast. The kids are fantastic in this movie. Will Wheaton's great. You had a young Phoenix, River Phoenix, and oh geez, I can't remember the other fellow's name there. Goes on to does some Scream stuff later on and stuff like that. But and you had Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman. Yeah.
asshole Kiefer Sutherland was the older guys in town or whatever, and they both hear about the train tracks and maybe a body getting hit by the train, and it's an adventure, a sad adventure story for the kids, and great storytelling. And I'm happy Brian had it on his list because Richard Dreyfuss is narrating the story. So I think that's he overlooked some things to put the quality of the movie ahead of the Richard
They didn't
Dreyfuss.
show his face.
He was only in the car for a couple minutes.
That's funny.
And then the signs start to shake back and forth, and you realize, man, there's close encounters. Great story, love it. Rob Reiner movie, and kind of set him on his way here too.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is Platoon. So
Okay.
awesome. I couldn't say it any better, man. Tom Berenger's an asshole. William Dafoe is the unsung hero.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen's awesome in the movie. Fantastic in the movie, man.
Very good.
You got one of the Dillon boys in there. Not Matt Dillon, but his brother.
It's
He's in
Kevin.
it. Kevin.
Yeah.
McGinney's in it there. It's a great cast. And yes, Stone's speaking from experience here. He's a Vietnam vet, and he's writing about this. And Platoon's a classic, man. It's almost like the real movie war telling story. Like one of the first one, you had Apocalypse Now and stuff like that. And
Right.
you've seen some stuff like that, but as you move along through the years watching movies, they seem to get a little bit more real and real as you move. You're on the ground here, man. This wasn't like Apocalypse. This was different. And then you get into other things, the Das Boots that we talked about before, but you're going to get into Saving Private Ryan or Schindler's or something like that later on. So
You kind of get a sense that Berenger and Defoe are like almost battling for like the younger soldiers' souls.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what you draw from
They're
it.
looking to be, both of them are looking to have the power
Right.
in the movie. And one's trying to play the bee and the honey kind of thing, and the other one's playing the hardball. And the only thing that killed Barnes was Barnes. So it's Berenger's an asshole. Fantastic movie. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Man, I almost had Cobra. And then I almost had Howard the Duck, man. I really almost did. I can't get over how bad Firewalker is, man. With Chuck Norris and Luke Gossett Jr.
I think we talked about that movie a couple years ago.
I think we might have or whatever. And
we were talking about Luke Gossett. We're like, oh my God, how could you make this movie?
How can you make this movie? How can you make Howard the Duck? I get it.
How can you make like Chuck Norris look like the best actor in that movie? I mean, how do you do that?
Luke Gossett Jr., man, that guy's agent should have been fired 3 years ago before this came out, right? So yeah, the Indiana Jones Romancing the Stone ripoff with Chuck Norris and Luke Gossett. Listen, I'm not going to tell you anything special about this movie. We talked about Howard having sex in the friggin' Howard the Duck movie. Go watch Chuck Norris and Luke Gossett Jr. pretend they're friggin', Harrison Ford, for F's sakes, man. This is not happening. Just crap, garbage. We're going to pick garbage flicks anyway, right now. So Firewalker, crap, man. I don't know what to tell you. That's just garbage. Total Hollywood ripoff stuff, they're jumping on the bandwagon. Crap.
Yep.
My favorite of '86, man, is Aliens. I don't know what else to tell you.
Wow.
Number 1.
Okay.
So it's a doc list, man. So
Doc list.
Yeah, I love Aliens, man. It's the I think we've talked about it before. It's the ultimate guy flick, I think, in the scheme of things. Space, aliens, fighting, guns, chicks, monsters. Set me down for 2 hours, man. I am not moving for sure. And that can come on any. I think the script that Cameron wrote for this movie is top notch, man. It is all military style talking, the way that's acted, the way they've done it. Like you mentioned, Paxton's just goes in as a heavy originally, and then he starts to crack through it the whole movie as you move along. Why don't you put her in charge, man? You can just hear him talking, right? It's
yeah. I mean, who would have thought Paul Reiser could have pulled off being a prick, right?
Yeah.
Ultimate prick, man. Ultimate. It's a great score. It's great. The music in it is so tense throughout the whole thing. The way it's directed. It's a high-end sci-fi movie in '86, man. Still find it to be a classic in my eyes. I love this movie. It's a categorize my movies, man. This is my top 10 for whatever category this is in. And even if it's not, it's still gonna be my top 10 probably.
Well, we had 5 the same, Doc. That's pretty cool.
I had 4 with you. Yeah.
Well, I sense possible trifectas happening here.
Well, let me see.
Guess we're gonna find out. I'm gonna say you don't have Club Paradise.
That would be a safe bet. Let me think. I think we're going to end up with 3 this time.
Okay.
3 trifectas. Let's see what happens. I got to say right off the bat, my last cut was Manhunter. That was tough for me to leave off because I really liked the flick a lot. Michael Mann, of course, William Peterson coming off To Live and Die in LA. I wanted to squeeze that in, but I just didn't do it. And I wanted to get that out of the way because I'm glad you had it because it's a good movie.
Thanks,
My number 10 is The Fly, David Cronenberg
Cool.
film. I really enjoyed this movie. And like Brian said, Jeff Goldblum looks like a fly. It's got the sci-fi horror. It's extremely well done. Doc said it's an experiment gone wrong, and it is. The transformation scenes are good when he's in that teleport thing or whatever, and you can see that first you see the little fly in there, and then all of a sudden, it morphs or clones or whatever the word is. It's very gory, but it's intelligent in the same way. It's detailed. I think Goldblum's best performance. I think he's perfect in this movie. Quirky, of course, as he always is. Gina Davis is his girlfriend as well. So it's well cast. And I saw this on the big screen when it came out, and I was impressed by it. So I wanted to put it on the list. Number 10.
Fantastic.
Number 9 is one of these another kind of quirky movie, Something Wild. Jonathan Demme directed it with Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels and Liotta, the late Ray Liotta. Kind of a road movie going out of control here. Action, comedy, romance. There's definite elements of danger once Ray Liotta gets on the screen because he's menacing. Very likable cast with Jeff Daniels. He's sort of not knowing what he's in for with Melanie. She's a wild woman. Just quirky entertainment. I really enjoy it. I like Melanie Griffith in that period of time too, before she started with all the facelifts and all that stuff. She looked natural and goofy and fun at that time, and the clothes she wore and just the way she carried herself. Number 8 is another one, a dark movie called At Close Range, directed by James Foley. It's got Christopher Walken as the father of the 2 Penn boys, Sean and Chris Penn. Real life story of a crime family in Pennsylvania, in the Lancaster area. Just a father who's hardcore. He would probably kill anybody in his family to get what he wanted. Very disturbing. It's gritty. It's realistic. The father-son themes play heavy in here. Sean Penn wants to please his father, yet he's breaking laws and doing horrible things. And it doesn't really answer the question, but it poses the question, are we born evil? Or is it genetic, or is it a learned behavior? You don't know because so much goes on in this movie. It's a violent, disturbing movie, but that's what I was drawn to back in the 80s. Another one here next is number 7, Salvador, directed by Oliver Stone. James Woods plays this veteran photojournalist who's down in El Salvador. He goes wherever the big story, the war stories are, and covers it with his camera. And it's a civil war taking place down there, and the U.S. is supplying arms and stuff for the military dictatorship. It's ugly. You have to get to the bottom of what's going on. There's an assassination of an archbishop, the murder of the Catholic nuns, which really took place. These are based on true events. It's no holds barred, very graphic film, not for the squeamish. There's a lot of disturbing scenes in there. Jim Belushi is along for the ride as well. hard hitting. So that's going to make my number 7. Yes. Number 6 is Blue Velvet, another disturbing movie.
Yes, it is.
I mean, twisted, strange, just you can't believe it. It's like pulling the lid off this Pollyanna suburban lifestyle and seeing all this disturbing stuff on what lays beneath. David Lynch is great at that. He's done it in other films. He's a polarizing filmmaker. Either you love him or you don't. I think this is one of his better films. It's beautifully shot. You see, the fire engine going by and the Dalmatian on the truck in the beginning, and everybody's happy, and the roses are blooming, and the dog's out front biting the water coming out of the hose. It looks like a nice piece of white picket fence, all that stuff. It's a real nice place to live. And then you see a worm or something, and the camera takes you down below the surface, and the story's on from there. It's all these whatever's under the underbelly of these people's lives. And Dennis Hopper, unforgettable. Isabella Rossellini, she's a disturbed character too, abused woman. Laura Dern, Kyle MacLachlan are the young couple in here. It's basically suburbia turned on its head. Everything's not what it seems. Very surreal, and it had to be on my list, so I put it at number 6. Number 5 is Children of a Lesser God. Brian had that on his list. Again, the William Hurt, always going to be in the running for being on my list in the 80s. He's that good of an actor. Marley Matlin is the deaf woman in real life, playing a deaf character here. Hurt plays the speech teacher at the school, meets the custodian, played by Marley Matlin, and she sort of doesn't want to make better herself or whatever. She's got a lot of damage going on that he's trying to get through to. There's different philosophies on speech here and assimilation into society. Very, very tense in the beginning. They don't really like each other, and it develops into a romance sort of when they break down some barriers. One of Hurt's best roles, again, he was on a roll in the 80s, no doubt about it. And Marley Matlin, like you mentioned, won the Oscar that year in her first film, her first movie. She's headstrong, she's fierce, she's determined, but she has a guard up, and it's a matter of breaking through that. Very touching film, humanity and empathy for others. And the bottom line is, even though people can't see or hear or talk or walk, they're human beings, and this film really touches on that. You see these people, and they may look odd to you, but they're human beings, and they have their own life to live, and they're trying to make the best of it. Number 4 is Stand By Me. I believe that's our first trifecta.
Yep.
Rob Reiner's coming of age classic. It does still hold up. Great cast. You guys mentioned Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, and of course Kiefer Sutherland is the bully guy there. Very nostalgic. Storytelling's great. Childhood memories. When you're that age, 12, 13, 14, wherever they are, you always remember those kids in your life at that time. We all do. We all have those memories to go back to, whether it be Little League or playing out in the street or whatever the case may be, or an adventure like they're doing, looking for a body and running on the railroad tracks, picking leeches off themselves, all that stuff. That blueberry pie contest is another thing in some of the storytelling and making it, but it's hilarious in the movie. It's absolutely one of the better scenes. So it's a great movie. I don't think anybody can watch that movie and not like the movie. Number 3 is The Color of Money, pretty high on my list. Marty Scorsese's follow-up to The Hustler, 25 years later. Fast Eddie Felson, Paul Newman, great role. He won the Oscar that year. They made up for it for The Verdict, but nonetheless, Newman's great in the movie. Deserved it. And I think Cruise stands his own with him as that cool, young, cocky, upstart pool player. Newman showing him the ropes, the angles, how to, hustle when he has to, or take people's money, whatever. He's learning the trade. He sees a lot of himself in the Cruise character.
Totally.
And that's what it's about. And of course, they run along guys who are outsmarting them, like the Forrest Whitaker guy. And he's tremendous in that. And John Turturro shows up in here.
John Turturro.
Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio is Cruise's girlfriend. She's very good too. I like Tom Cruise a lot, and this is just one of his movies. And the thing about these guys, they both have such charisma on screen. You can't take your eyes off Newman or Cruise. What a matchup. I love The Hustler too. If you go back 25 years to 1961,
Yep.
great movie. That's where he put the portrait of Eddie Felson together, and this just shows where he's at in life 25 years down the line. So a classic. Number two, Woody Allen's Hannah and Her Sisters. I'm glad Brian had it. I was shocked, but glad nonetheless. One of Woody's best movies. A great ensemble cast here with Mia Farrow, Barbara Hershey, Diane Wiest, Michael Caine, Max von Sydow, Carrie Fisher, and Daniel Stern, along with Woody. They're all great in the movie. Brilliant screenplay. Tells the story of these three sisters and their lives over a 2-year period. It begins at Thanksgiving, it ends at Thanksgiving, and everything in between. How their lives take twists and turns, and affairs and trouble in the marriage, and secret pregnancies and illnesses and all kinds of stuff in there. It's just about life. And it's got the touches of neuroses that Woody always brings, pessimism and that. But in the end, it's a kind of a life-affirming, optimistic movie on that last scene. I think it's excellent. My worst film, Howard the Duck. I had that written down from dreadful, just absolutely horrible, nonsensical, whatever word you want to use. And what genius executive at the studio gave the okay that this was a good film? I mean, how did they ever put that forth? Let's get Leah Thompson. Let's get Howard Hessman. Hey, Tim Robbins, you doing anything? Come on. I mean, what the hell happened? That's just a horrible movie. So it makes my list. My number one, no brainer for me, is Platoon, Oliver Stone, the brutality of war. You guys mentioned pretty much everything that I can talk about. It's Charlie Sheen as the young soldier going in, and he's stuck in this squadron with these two sergeants who are completely different. They have different approaches to war. One is Defoe is kind of he just wants to survive and get out of this and go home. Berenger is more ruthless and violent, sadistic, but very realistic. It tells the story of the foot soldier, the grunts, the guys on the ground, different than the Deer Hunter, different than Apocalypse Now, different than any of the war films or Vietnam films, especially that we saw up until this point, because they're in the muck and the mire, and you see the individual battles and stuff. And that one thing where they destroy this village. It's a lot like the My Lai massacre. Very, very tough to watch. Where there's children getting whacked and women and not soldiers, civilians. It doesn't leave the U.S. in a good light, but this is kind of one of these in your face, tell it like it is kind of movie. It's extremely well made. It's hard to rewatch. I don't find myself watching it that much because it's so brutal, but I think it's the best film of the year. And it's a loss of innocence again. The guy starts out there, and it's going to follow him the rest of his life.
Oh yeah.
And you know why, when these war veterans come home, you can see in this movie why they'll never be the same. To live through that and go through that, even if you come out unscathed, mentally and inside, you're devastated and destroyed. So it's a difficult watch, but if you can take that out and take it for what it's worth, it's an excellent movie. So it's number one for me.
Very good.
Yeah, movie you
I
got
don't
to
feel
see
wrong
at least
saying it,
once
but
in your
I-
lifetime. No matter how you feel about
Oh,
it,
yeah.
you have to watch it one time
I agree.
and experience it. You need to.
And I would put Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan in that same boat. They're a tough watch. There's no doubt about it, but it's part of the human existence and our history and what happened. So face it.
I spent money to go see Howard the Duck.
Well, you're a better man than I.
Yeah, I did. Well, the reason you asked it during your synopsis there and stuff like that, and it was just with whatever. I was downtown Toronto with the guys, whatever the case was, and let's go see a flick. And hey, it's a George Lucas movie. It can't be that bad.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
The only way, yeah. So the only way I could have messed up taking a girl to a movie was if I had taken her to see Howard the Duck
Howard the
instead
Duck.
of Platoon.
Your first two are non-dateable. Your first two picks are non-dateable. Your number two and your number one. Your worst and your number one.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it's kind of amusing that you guys were really close on the music, and then Rich and I were really close on the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only
Yeah.
think I had 1, 2, 3, 4 of Rich's.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had 4.
Yeah, we had 5, Doc.
We had
And,
5.
Brian and I
Yeah.
had 6, so 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
And then we ended up with 3 that we all had. There, I just want to make note of a couple comedies that none of us had that I thought would show up on one list or another, and that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Nobody had it.
Yeah.
Crocodile Dundee. Nobody had it. And
No.
Three Amigos. Nobody had it.
No, see, Three Amigos was actually the 3rd movie on my worst movie of all time list. Because it's got Martin Short in it, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm not buying him at all as a
No.
comedian. I can't get into him at all.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel. I mean, I had Ferris Bueller as my most overrated film.
Yeah, that's
of
right.
the 80s. Remember, if you remember right. So
Yeah, I kind of like it, but it wasn't good enough to make the list. And I
Yeah.
really thought, I knew Doc would have Hoosiers, but I thought he might have Youngblood, the hockey movie too. But
No.
no.
Hmm.
Okay.
No, my short list that I missed was The Highlander,
Yep.
Little Shop of Horrors, and The Best of Times.
yeah,
Those
my,
were my
my
3.
first 2 out were Manhunter and River's Edge.
Those are my 2 also. River's Edge, I have written down. Manhunter, and also Sid and Nancy, I had written down as well.
You have on my list also, I had Children of a Lesser God on my list. There was a last late
Mhm.
Heartbreak Ridge. I like that
Heartbreak
for a
Ridge,
little
I have
war
written
thing.
down. Yep.
Got Mario Van Peebles in it.
I was going to
Took
say I
time
couldn't do
off
it
from
because of
rapping.
Mario,
He made
buddy.
that movie.
I couldn't do it because of Mario.
And another one that we talked about this, I think, off screen, none of us had was Top Gun. I mean, that was a monster movie as far as
I didn't even write it down. I had Salvador
Nah.
written down,
I didn't even consider it.
I didn't consider it either.
and I had At Close Range too, Rich, just so you know.
Yeah, that's a good movie, although it's like a tough subject matter. It's really well acted. Christopher Walken is excellent in that movie, and so is Sean Penn.
Well, Sean Penn's good in anything, man.
Yeah.
Usually.
Now, when you think about The Fly, think about this. How in the world did Gina Davis let herself, I mean, the character in the movie, let herself get talked to some creepy dude picking her up saying, "Hey, come back to my laboratory. I got something to show you." Really? I mean, really? I mean, do you think that really happens?
Probably
Like,
not.
I don't think so. I'm going home with my friends here.
So there.
Yeah.
That's so true, man.
I
Oh,
thought,
and actually another
way.
one I had written down was The Hitcher,
yeah,
Rutger Hauer?
Rutger Hauer.
I'm not a
Yeah.
Hitcher guy, but another one I had written down, which is a sadistic kind of film, is Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I don't know whether you've ever seen that, but it's
Oh, yeah. I got Michael
That's-
Rooker, right?
yeah, that's a tough
That's it.
watch.
Yeah.
That's as tough a watch as I've ever seen, but it's very well done.
Yeah.
Kind of a low budget. You think you're watching a documentary. That it's so believable. That was before anybody knew who Michael Rooker was, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, but I didn't want to put it on the list because it's too much. I had too much dark stuff and I didn't want to overwhelm it. So very good. All
Yeah, it
right.
was fun.
Always a good time. Check out Brian Massey's Entertainment, Massey's Main Entertainment. It'll be listed below. Go over and check out our perfect album where we each pick 12 songs out. And of course, if you missed any of our earlier movie episodes from 1980 through 85, you can check them out as well. Please leave the comments. We love the interaction between the people watching and ourselves. We'll be glad to answer them. Leave a list or a top movie of 86 if you don't have time to write down 10, what we missed, whether you agree or not, doesn't matter. Your personal list would be appreciated. So again, for
Sure would.
Doc, Brian, this is Rich. We'll see you next time for 1987 coming next week. Take care. Bye.